テレビ
つけてもいいぞ。
あやこれ好き
Emu is a clown.
Oh, okay guys, he's gone totally nuts now.
No, you might not know this, Maki, because that was before your time, and maybe most of my viewers don't know either, but I made a video almost 2 years ago about Emu possibly being a clown. Back then, it was just a funny idea. The video quality wasn't great and I rushed through the topic because I didn't have much time. But now, there's actually a lot more to support that theory. All of what I'm gonna say may sound wild, but let me cook. Because Oda is a big troll, we all know that, and that's why this theory might become a reality, so keep watching. This video is about Emu, I assure you, but I really have to talk about Buggy first for a bit. You will understand why later. Our beloved Captain Buggy the Clown kept falling upwards and somehow ended up as one of the 4 emperors, even though he's completely incompetent. That's not new to us, but nonetheless, it is pretty weird, and one has to ask the question, why? Does Oda just have funny bones and really loves to throw a character like that into the story? Or what? Or could this be foreshadowing that someone else, a clown-like figure, might be the one secretly ruling over the world? Obviously, I'm talking about Emu.
Obviously?
Yes, Buggy's rise to power might be more than just coincidence. It could be hinting at a deeper, crazier and hidden link between him and Emu. But let's start with the basics. You have to know, jesters in most cultures represent both comedy and tragedy, and therefore Emu as well could be the ultimate tragic clown. Someone who rules the world but yet remains miserable. And it's ironic if we consider that the ancient kingdom, Nika and Joyboy, who are connected to laughter, all have been defeated and erased by a literal clown. We also know that Buggy is obsessed with treasure, and in the same way Emu is holding power, so we can say that both of them are interested in getting more influence. Now, you've heard me talk about this before. This is where some of my previous theories melt together to become something even crazier, because now we've got more pieces of the puzzle. Especially thanks to the mural we got in 1138. If you have seen my theories about the One Piece being a theme park and where it might be located, then you know what is coming now. If not, you should check them out. I'm still very certain that I found out where the One Piece is hidden, and I found endless clues that Oda sprinkled all over the story that suggest that the One Piece is a huge amusement park. In one of these videos I even talked about Joyboy having a flying ship with a huge fun park on board. But since the mural was revealed to us, I think it's also possible that this ship belonged to Emu, and the ship I am talking about is the ancient Dark Maxime we can see here. Another theory of mine also comes into play here, because in my last video I pointed out that Emu actually was Nika at some point. All of my ideas mend together perfectly now. It sounds crazy, but Emu might indeed be a clown from outer space who came to Earth with a flying Dark Maxime circus.
That really sounds crazy. Oui.
Anyway, let me explain why. Buggy, as you might know, is Oda's favorite villain, and that's worth noting because he is the first villain to appear in One Piece. Well, if you ignore X and Morgan at least, but still, Buggy is weird and important at the same time. Also, it's interesting that Buggy somehow ended up on Rotter's ship with Shanks, of all people. Both Buggy and Shanks are descendants of celestial dragons, and it's wild to think that these two ended up on the same ship, the ship that uncovered the truth about the One Piece and the world.
Wait, did you just say Buggy is the celestial dragon?
Oh, right, I didn't explain that yet, did I? Well, I think Buggy is related to Emu, if not even Emu's son.
Huh?
I will get to this point later, just wait. Where was I? Alright. What is also interesting is that Buggy weirdly fell ill as soon as he got close to Lovetail. I always thought that it's weird that this happened, and I was not the only one, but if you consider that Buggy might be related to Emu, could it be that the region where the One Piece is located is problematic for people of the Nerona clan? But that's not all. How come Buggy gets so annoyed when people talk about his nose? I mean, why? Think about it for a second. He calls himself Buggy the Clown, but he gets angry when anyone points out his clown nose. And yet, he continues to form his crew around the circus team. Ships with circus tents, a crew filled with circus-like characters. I mean, just look at all these people. They are a freaking circus. So why is he freaking out about this damn nose all the time? Is that a coincidence? Is it the same for Emu?
That's what they call it, big nose, big nose.
that why it's called Love Tale? Because Roger and his crew found out that Emo was a clown from outer space who once was Nika and got rejected by Lily because of his nose? I mean, who could blame her, right? Why else would there be a huge portrait of her in Emu's garden, if not that he really liked her a lot though? Well, or maybe he just liked her looks. Don't forget that Emu said, "I desire Vivi." Maybe Emu really is into women of that type.
Well, he technically could be into almost all the women of One Piece then, since they all look the same.
That's not true. But also not entirely wrong. Anyway, I want to point out some other things. Emu, if I'm reading this mirror right, came from space and was possibly in search of the Forbidden Sun, a resource of energy that is immense. The figure we see that is most likely depicting Emu is shown as this black silhouette, just like the Emu we have seen in the chapters so far. And Buggy, in later chapters, starts wearing this big stretchy apparel. He uses his split fruit power to make himself look larger. It's almost like when Emu enlarges himself with that weird shadow power. Maybe another subtle clue from Oda? But there's more. Let's not forget that Buggy took away Luffy's straw hat. When he held it, he remembered Shanks and the time he spent with him. That's another parallel to Emu, because Emu took Joy Boy's straw hat too, and we see them standing in front of it in this cold cryo chamber. And while Emu was holding Luffy's bounty poster, they perhaps remember the days when Joy Boy was wearing this giant straw hat. It's symbolic. Buggy and Shanks, Emu and Joy Boy. And now get this. What if Emu's rise to power was similar to Buggy's? Like Buggy, who went from a pirate to a warlord, maybe Emu fell upwards as well. Maybe Emu came to Earth looking for treasure or the Forbidden Sun and found a war in progress. Emu arrived at a time when things were pretty dire, with people being exploited in working camps. And somehow, these slaves were freed and started praising Emu for it, even though it was not Emu who freed them. Remember, this would be just like when Buggy freed the prisoners in Impel Down. Well, he didn't really free them alone, but he was the one who got all the credit for freeing them, even though it was really Luffy and the others who did all the work. But then, as we know, Buggy got even more famous. Eventually, he even became a warlord. Wouldn't it be hilarious if that happened as well back then, just with Emu? But here's the twist. Shanks is treated like an afterthought by his Celestial Dragon family. Shamrock even says, Shanks got too attached to the filthy world of the surface. Meanwhile, Buggy seems to be getting promoted more and more for the oddest reasons. Is it perhaps possible that Emu has a hand in that? I mean, think about it. If Emu has a red nose, why wouldn't Buggy strike their interest? After all, Buggy is literally the only character we've ever seen in One Piece with a nose like that. We never got a proper explanation other than Oda confirming it's real. Emu might have recognized someone of his clan and is planning to use that person as a pawn, or at least act in their favor. But I need to get back to the mirror for a second. Back to this Arc Maxim-like ship, as you know I'm saying Emu aka Nika came down to Earth with. But where is it? What if that spaceship went missing and someone found it and made blueprints of it? Could it be that Enel found these blueprints and built his version of the Arc Maxim? Remember when the Sea Kings talked about wanting to bring the damaged Noah to that clan to repair it? In my opinion, that suggests that that clan is underwater. So what if that clan was the one who found the spaceship that brought Emu to Earth and made blueprints of it? And what if one of these blueprints ended up in Enel's hands on the Sky Islands? Sounds too far-fetched? Well, how come the ship in the mirror looks exactly like the Arc Maxim then? I'm convinced the One Piece is a lost, forgotten theme park at the bottom of the sea, and a flying spaceship circus would fit that perfectly. But now, let's talk quickly about Emu's name. As we know, Emu belongs to the Nerona family, right? A lot of people point out how Nerona sounds like Emperor Nero, who supposedly burned Rome. But here's something interesting. The word Nero in Latin derives from the word
Niger.
which means black or dark. Does that sound familiar?
Niger.
In essence, Nero could be interpreted as the dark one or the black one, and Emu is always dressed in these shadowy black robes. Is it possible that his family has always been dressed in dark clothing? Now, God, how do I say this? We just learned that the word Nero derived from the word
Niger.
right?
Niger.
Nika. It's not much to go from one word to the other. Nero, or in this case Nerona, could derive from the word Nika in One Piece, which would mean Emu the Black One.
Why are you doing this?
What? This is Latin! I'm just saying Latin words, don't frame me! Alright now. Emu is super mysterious and all, while Buggy on the other hand loves being flashy. He craves the spotlight. It's like the two of them represent the two sides of the same coin. Again! Emu is dark and hidden. Buggy is all about show and flair. And now imagine if Roger found out that the One Piece was a circus from outer space that is responsible for how the world is now. Wouldn't that be laughable? A literal clown who ruined your world? That pretty much sounds like what is happening right now to the US.
Oh, stop it already!
No, why?
No politics!
Alright. Jesus, man. Let's break down the clown archetype for a second. In many cultures, clowns or jesters have roots in the trickster archetype. They represent chaos, mischief, and unpredictability. They blur the lines between good and evil. Loki, the trickster god in Norse mythology, comes to mind, right? And oh look, what do we have here? We actually have a character named Loki in One Piece who behaves similarly to Doflamingo. A joker! Not to mention that he claims he is the sun god, which is the guy who is laughing and dancing all the time, just like a clown. But there's also the evil clown phenomenon. Pennywise from Stephen King's It is a perfect example. Pennywise is a demonic entity that uses the clown guise to deceive and terrorize. Ah yes, good old horror clowns. But this ties clowns also to the demonic, and in One Piece we have Buggy, Caesar and Doflamingo, who carry the clown theme. Buggy though is the only literal clown, but he's still pretty scary. And if you say he is not, then imagine a clown who blows up your entire hometown and then tell me that's not terrifying. But here it is. The traditional role of a jester used to be to speak truth to power. Because in medieval courts the jester was often the only one who could speak the truth to the king, even though he did so with a mask of humor and absurdity. Yet, in One Piece we have Emu as the ruler, and none of his advisors dare speak the truth to him. It's a perfect inversion, and that is, as we know, one of Oda's favorite storytelling techniques. But enough of that. I want to point out instead that we know that some races in One Piece came from space, like the Skypians, Bergsens and so on. So what if there was one more? A race with red noses. And also, let's not forget, we have never heard the story of how Buggy ended up on Roger's ship. All we know is that he was born in the Grand Line 39 years ago, but that's it. Why the secrecy if not to give us an insane major reveal about Buggy's roots later in the story? And it has to be a huge one, because we even got the info about how Shanks got on Roger's ship before Buggy's story. I mean, hello? But let's circle back to symbolism. A crown symbolizes power, authority and control. A clown symbolizes foolishness, chaos and entertainment. In a way, they are two sides of the same coin. Order versus disorder, right?
Oui.
Now, in playing cards, the jester or clown is often a key player in the kingdom. A trickster who might even humble or overthrow the king. My friend Kusoland has an amazing video on that topic, and well, what can I say? This whole Joker thing in there fits perfectly with my theory. I'll link you the video in the description. But since I was speaking of kings, Emu's crown? I mean, it's hard to ignore at this point, and you might know that the Japanese word for crown is pronounced crown. And guess what? That's also how you pronounce clown. Is this Oda hinting to us that Buggy the clown is connected to the world's ruler, Emu, the one wearing the crown in Marijoas? One thing's clear. Like Emu, Buggy lets others fight for him, while reaping all the glory. No one else does that in One Piece, except for the clowns. Everyone else stands their ground and fights their own battles. But Buggy and Emu sit on the sidelines, watching the chaos unfold while benefiting from it all. And hey, remember? We don't even know Buggy's last name. Just like Nami, he is one of the characters whose last name we don't know. So maybe Oda's hinting to us here that our good old Captain Buggy is actually Nerona Buggy. I know that some people in the community speculated about Buggy the Crown by saying he is Xebek's son and the crown jewel of Hachinosu, but in my opinion that's wrong. First of all, the word crown jewel never gets mentioned like this in Japanese. The only word they say in the regarding scene is treasure, takara, and according to his Weaver card, he joined the Roger Pirates since at least the age of 9. That leaves a lot of room for speculation. Some folks say he might have been in a treasure chest from God Valley just like Shanks, suggesting he was on Roger's ship since he was a baby, but I doubt that. I think Buggy is related to Imu. The Celestial Dragons are known for keeping their slaves, especially female ones. Ginny comes to mind. So it's not totally unlikely that Imu also has an interest in women. Especially since, as I mentioned already, he has a huge portrait of Lily hanging in his garden. And that's why I think it's totally possible that Buggy is Imu's relative and that Imu also has a big red nose and is a freaking clown from outer space. Thank you for watching. If you had fun, please consider subscribing, linking, commenting, yeah, well, all that stuff. Also, feel free to front me about how crazy my takes are, but I might shoot back. Hehe. See ya!